Shalom and good day, all. This is the Helium29 back again for another Mob Psycho Season 2 anime review. And in this, I will be covering the first 6 and then I'll be finishing off with the last episodes. Now, with the first couple of 6 episodes, it centers around a lot of the stuff that comes over from the last season into this season. And with the chapters such as Ripped Apart, Urban Legends, and One Danger After Another, we see Mob and Reagan attending things to exercise, as well as one thing that involved some spirits that wanted to sort of like stay where they were. And it was really interesting as to how that story developed, because you could see in the story that they just wanted to be in peace, they wanted to be left alone, and it was really nice how the story developed into that. Not long after that, as we start to move towards the middle point, towards episodes 5 to 6 to 7, we start to see the return of Claw, and you also get to see the return of some former Claw members who seek out Reagan because now they want to take on Claw themselves. And they've sort of like exposed how the head of Claw wants to sort of like, in a way, take over the world with espers, and it just goes absolutely crazy. The story continues, and we finally see that Sho, who we met from the last season, back in this season. And in this, he ends up taking Ritsu, Shigeo's younger brother, to help him take over, to help him stop his father. And in the process, we do end up meeting again with Shigeo, who is basically with Reagan, and we see all the former members of Claw now working alongside Reagan to penetrate his hideout. And as we move into the Claw hideout, the main Claw hideout, we do get to see some really interesting, I guess, battles between espers. Now, I think one of the big and maybe the best fights that took place in this was towards the end of these episodes, and I'll be covering the OVA soon enough. So, when we start to reach the end of the story, we get to see Mob Psycho along with Sho, like after he learns what's happened with his family and that they're okay, because there's an incident that takes place in the story to which you think that his family died in a fire, including his younger brother. And we learn that that's not the truth, and the truth finally comes out towards the end of the story. And it's really nice how that story is developed, and also who is there in the time when it occurs. As we finally go up against the big bad in this particular season, we learn that Mob Shigeo, is absolutely unable to defeat him. Like, he is really getting his ass kicked from here to breakfast time. And whilst this is happening, you can see a lot of destruction that has happened in the city because of the espers going up against each other. And it's really interesting as to see how this story pans out. So as we finally move into the OVA, this is where you learn that Reagan Arataka gets a job and also takes his employees with him, being Shigeo, Ritsu, also Serozawa, who we meet up with Hanazawa later on in the story, to which they are taking on a job at a hot springs in the mountains in Japan. As the story continues, you do see that something that does take place, to which people are in a way sort of caught up in a parallel world of sorts, and it requires the help of basically all of the people that Reagan invited for this trip, and it's sort of like treated as a excursion of sorts for Reagan's employees, or who Reagan has invited on the trip. And he gets to have quite a bit of teamwork happening within the story. And I must admit, it was quite long for a short OVA, but the story turned out to be really good towards the end. So I'm not going to give away any spoilers, and I highly recommend checking out this season. Now it's time to move into the main part, and that is the rating for this season. So, moving into the first part, and that is the main characters, to which I give an 8 out of 10. The main characters consisting of Mob, Shigeo, and if I were to mention anyone else, it would have to be Sho, because those are the main characters that sort of like take the spotlight in the story. Moving into the supporting characters, we also get like Reagan plus Hanazawa and some of the other ones, and eventually Senozawa. And for them, I'd give an 8 out of 10. Moving into the animation, I actually quite enjoyed the animation this season, to which I'm going to give it a 8.5 out of 10. As we move into the main story for this season, I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day, and stay tuned for any upcoming further reviews, whether it's of more Mob Psycho or any other anime titles. Have yourself an awesome day, and let's keep it colourful.